I actually remember the day I felt like I could breathe again after my son was born. I had been going to a yoga class, and they're like, breathe into your belly or wherever, right? And that day I actually could. It was really powerful.
Is it? And I don't want to be insensitive asking this question, but was there a lot of rumination at the moment going through that?
Hello, guys. Welcome back to an episode of Breaking the Cycles. I am your co host, Tasiyah. Here's my other co host,
Her mom,
my
Laziena.
mom. And on today's episode, we are introducing our lovely friend who is a motivational speaker, Shaina. Say hello, introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're, I don't know, stopping in from. I am Shaina Hargens, a motivational coach, speaker, and author, and I'm a giver of permission, a reminder of resilience, and a wife, a mama of an angel and a rainbow.
Yeah, let's go there. How have you been breaking patterns, cycles, or yeah, your journey? What would your heart like to say?
Really to answer, like dig into the question, right? Because I know you to ask this question of everyone that has this conversation with you, and really breaking cycles not only in myself and that self discovery journey, but with others as a motivational coach. It's breaking the cycle of burnout, especially as women. We don't have the same thing going on every day. Like, yeah, outside of us and inside of us. And we get to this place where the systems want consistency and all these masculine things when we are just so feminine and prone in that cycle of masculinity. We are prone to burnout.
I find that's true. There was a time when I was working from not knowing that I had a like yeah, just working blindly. I just work in survival mode, so to speak. And I felt like after I learned that, I have a purpose and there's something greater that I'm serving, and that's a lot of humanity. And the burnout doesn't feel as burnouty anymore. It feels more passionate, and it's a motivator to go. But at the same time, as you're mentioning, being a mom, running a household, and for me, I'm the sole caregiver of my house. Well, not anymore because you're an adult, but and outside of a partnership, it does get very overwhelming at times. And I just, in those moments, I need to pause. Definitely relate to that.
I do too. I mean, I kind of off and on have been experiencing burnout for like the last few years. And it takes such a mental and emotional toll on the body where anytime like I like end up feeling that burnout, it's like definitely a reflective period for me.
Yeah. And it becomes, or can become, like this whole what's wrong with me, right? Like everything else is going fine. Why can't I keep it together? Or, right, we have that kind of negative narrative running through us, and that doesn't help. Like it keeps us there longer, right? And when we can take a moment and step back and say, okay, whatever is causing this, it doesn't matter as much as what I do next.
I mean, how did you recognize that you were facing burnout? Like, what was going on internally? And I mean, was there an experience that came with it where you first
Um,
realized?
yeah. Let's see. So fast forward to a closer part of my story, it would be um having these realizations like, hey, what's going on here? All those narratives, right? Like what's wrong with me? I crash and burn. I'm bottoming out or what have you. And so having those conversations with myself, but then looking back, like when did I have it together? Right? Like asking that question, And as I first started my motivational coaching business, I had a mentor and coach, and she had advised me to work with my clients every other week. And so, yeah, so then you have on weeks and off weeks, right? So you're on with your business and your client, and then you're off and building. You're in your business, working on your business, or whatever those two A and B sides are. And at the time, I was like, oh, I can do that. I came from a corporate job that did those kind of cycles. Great, cool. So I had plugged it in. And then over time, I had shared with Laziena before jumping on here. A few years ago, I lost my son. And as much as I had in place, like coming out of that, getting to a place where I had just walked through so much and my business had walked through with me. It was a beautiful thing. And I got to a place where I kind of just bottomed out, which is totally okay, right? And so I had bottomed out, I had ridden out all of that momentum, and I had this calmness. And so I started picking back up again. And that's where that burnout cycle started to show up. Because I wasn't on the every other schedule anymore, because for a time I did not have one-to-one clients. So I had slowly worked my way out of that cycle, that rhythm, and that's where it came. That's where all those narratives showed up. I'm like, what is wrong with me? And I'm crying and like zero confidence, and like 10 days later I was on top of the world again, right? And I was like, whoa. What happened? So I went back and I said, oh, maybe I magically synced with my cycle back in the day, right? Like, and so I started reapplying that. And for me, it's simply marking my weeks A and B and knowing when that part of my cycle is that I have that low confidence. That's maybe when I don't have conversations like this, or I don't launch a new thing, right? Like, whatever that might be, I'm honoring that. I'm reminding myself of that. And so when I get to those lower points, I know what to do or do things instead of. And now I don't have or experience that burnout.
So experiencing the burnout phase, right? What was your experience as far as like you had just gone through such a heavy loss and then you're flip-flopping between all these heightened emotions? What helped you overcome your burnout? Like what was that, like what specifically, did you do anything? Was it like a therapy thing? Was it like a moment in your brain where it was like, what helped you during that?
When you ask that question, the first thing that comes to mind is gratitude. Like just writing out what I'm grateful for, right? And maybe it's not something I'm doing or experiencing, right, in that low place, in that burnout existence, but it was those glimpses of hope. It was those high points, right? And that goodness. I don't know. Gratitude gives you all that goodness. So first, definitely gratitude. And then second, this is something I teach and give away, and that is do the next right thing.
That's good advice. I feel like whenever I'm noticing that I'm doing burnout, like I'm in burnout, I can recognize it now. It shows up in my shoulder pain when I'm feeling unsupported. Like if I feel unsupported, is my tailbone. If I'm too much in my feminine energy, is my left side of my shoulder. So it's like that's my body way of like alerting me, like, hey, you need to take some time, slow down, take care of you, because there's bigger things to look at. And I don't, because we're such an emotional family and we definitely go straight to the wound. I can't just brush off on the fact that you lost a child. Like, if you're okay to talk about that, I'd love to hear it. I feel like I I at some point felt like I lost Tasiyah, and I would never be in a relationship with her ever again. And I'm thankful that I have. We repaired our relationship, but I don't know if I'd ever recover. I'm saying that because I'm imagining it, but you lived it. Like, what
Yeah.
was that like for you?
Well, so I was about a year into my business and everything was going perfectly. And then it wasn't. He was born full term, stillbirth, and it was devastating. And I think having built the momentum and done the thing, then going back into my business, not only like I had obligations, which at the end of the day, when you're in it, it's like a no judgment zone, right? And you have to take care of yourself. And so it was nice to go back into my business and to my clients because they loved me, they cared about me, and I was still able to help them. And honestly, it was a great distraction. And then it was so that kind of petered out just a little bit, the contracts end or what have you. And that's when I really started praying. I'm like, God, just let me keep doing this. This is what I want to do. And I was just in just this hopeful place of really just want to keep doing this. Like, please let me keep doing this. Whatever it looks like, I don't care. But I don't want to have to like fully start over, right? And yet, I, I don't know, I'm just thinking like that reminds me of like sometimes it might feel like it all burnt down or that that's the only option is that it all needs to burn down, right? There's the two, like the tragedy or the choice. But really what you build, you will have something to land on in your relationships, in your conversations, in the least expected places. Like just the gratitude of that piece. Like all the things that came out of the woodwork, it was it was beautiful.
Yeah. If a client, right, wants to connect with you, what is the greatest gift you think they would receive from you?
Ooh. I think it comes down to action because when you know what the next right thing is, right? Like my do the next right thing. Um, when we get into action, I don't care if it's a bubble bath or an email sequence, right? Like
Yeah.
life or business or anything in between, go for that walk, right, with your kid, or alone or what have you. But when we get into action, we can't help but keep going.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. I feel like when it comes to that's something that I've been intentional with this year is being actionable. Because we can have ideas and we can have a lot of, you know, motivation and everything like that, but if we don't take immediate action, it just ends up becoming a standstill. And then months later, we're like, oh man, I should have done this. I should have done this. I should have done that. Just living in that regret. And most of the time, what stops me from taking action is whatever's happening internally. That's not external. The external factor is something that's perceived in my mind based on a fear and trying. And that's when also I would get overwhelmed because I'm in my head too much instead of my heart and not using divine guidance to take and aligned actions to bring the purpose in. Like, I think that's I'm a fan of action for
Mm.
sure. I think that not I think I like that you're able to give the perspective of what burnout feels like, especially to women and moms. Do you specifically serve a specific niche or a group, or is it just anyone?
It's gonna be mostly young moms that maybe feel like they lost themselves, right? Because not maybe it. kind of happens, right? And so that rediscovery of what's already there is very, very powerful. And then to be able to take that and action it into that vision that God has placed on your heart, like that bigger picture to zoom out.
Or,
Yeah, and to see the whole thing. That's that sweet spot is those moms that are like, okay, I can breathe again, but wait a second, like where are my lungs? Like
yeah. Can I find, is it in this right pocket here or is it the left pocket?
I
And
actually here's another piece of my story. I actually remember the day I felt like I could breathe again after my son was born. I had been mhm, I had been going to a yoga class, and they're like, breathe into your belly or wherever, right? And that day I actually could. It was really powerful. And I remember that, and every time that would kind of circle back, or a little piece, or whatever, I remember, okay, but I'm here, right? And to switch it back to gratitude, to the present moment, or sit down and journal it, like just get it out of my head, like why those two things in my present and past are connecting. So that's definitely number one. And then the second, um, shortly after my son's second birthday, um, my daughter was a few months old, which was a miracle in
the
itself.
rainbow.
Yes. And I felt like, okay, I'm ready to reclaim, right? And so I met with my coach, and we formulated a sisterhood. And so we sat down and said, okay, let's do a sisterhood. So let's, as in me. But it got me showing up every single week.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and it got me out of story and into teaching mode, into giving mode. But, but the 45 days from, okay, I'm going to start a sisterhood, right? To launch day, it was the 45 days from hell. I mean, there's no other, like, it was extreme too. I mean, I would call it PTSD. Like, I woke up from terrible dreams, and it was just like all just front and center again. And I pushed through. Like, I was like, nope, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. Like, it was very much a battle. And yet, having, like, knowing that that piece was what was all zoomed in, right? Or trying to get my attention. When between the two, to launch day, to saying yes and getting the thing done, that was hard. Like,
What do you think the most challenging thing was that you overcame during that period?
over just the last few
No,
years,
the 45 days.
those 45 days.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if it was an overcoming more than just a getting through. Like, I mean, if it was just overwhelming and I needed to cry, it just needed to come out of me. Because, yeah, I'd been through enough time to where I knew that little piece of discernment. And it was okay, but that's not my entire story.
Yeah. It doesn't end there.
Yeah. And so, yes, to cry it out and feel it through, and push through, because I knew that wasn't the only thing, right? Like, it wasn't it yes, it was zoomed in, um because of the trauma and um the pain and just all of that. But I knew, having zoomed out, knowing the rest of the plan, or that short-term vision of that 45 days, um, I just pushed through.
Yeah. I wanted to say though, like, I admire you for the work that you've done. I admire you for the strength that you have. It takes a lot. And, you know, I watched my mom be a mom, and I've watched a lot of people be the parents, the best parents that they could be. And I know
Mm.
you're doing the best that you can. And
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you for being able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I took the following year to answer that question of how did I survive?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're telling your friend's story of like, I have to share this, right? And I knew that there was something, but again, that story was just a little too close to where I couldn't quite pick out the pieces,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And so I just kind of went on this journey last year, 2024, and I said, okay, how did I do this? Like, what was in place? And I just started like pouring through old notebooks and journals and like handouts from different conventions I had been to, and I'm like, okay, where is it? Right? Like, where are those pieces? And I found them, and I've since shared them one on one or in my sisterhood group and pieced them together for them. Right? I've walked through a small group, actually through a workbook of those kind of master classes of what I learned. And then I thought, okay, how do I make this bite size? Like, how do I make it to where it's accessible and like anybody can digest, right? Especially in that burnout of just that fog and that not able to move, right? And so I created a guided journal. And from there, you're slowly building those pieces without even knowing it. And that's what I did. Like, I had picked up all those pieces and all those skills and all those little things that just trickled in. And then things happen, right? Like, you lose somebody. The world changes, right? And what we have, we still have. That's just it. Like, it can't be taken away.
You said you had
It
a guided journal, right? Like, is that something that you
Yes.
published and so forth?
Mhm.
What is it like? If you could, like, or do you have like exercises in the guided workbook? Like, what is like your focus towards it?
Yeah. It's called Anchoring Amidst. And each page, all I did, I wrote an opening letter and a closing letter. And then I wrote over 400 journal prompts. And the idea is I wanted them to be able to go through over a year of daily prompts. Just that slow rebuild, that kind of graceful revival within themselves. Again, kind of how I had done without knowing what I needed or how I would need it, but in a way that it helps us build up whatever we have going on.
Yeah. I like, when I first started life coaching, I went and I was looking into the certification. I wasn't sure which ones I wanted to do because I'm like, I don't, there's so much. So I got a generic one. And then I was like, there's an attachment one, but I really consider myself an expert in the attachment theory already, right? But I was like, okay, that's a safe one. Let me see what I can gain from this. But the third one was life story. And I really like that one because you use a lot of the words that I incorporate as well. It's the ability to look at your life like it's a story, and go backwards, and that way you can go forward, and just like looking at the lifeline on its own without becoming it at the moment, right? And so it's able to like zooming out at those pivotal moments, and it's saying, okay, this is the most heart-wrenching feeling ever. Now if I can zoom back out and see I can see the bigger purpose, and that can get me through where I need to go, and that could be my motivator. And that also inspired me to so one of the things that I do is um it's called first person, second person, third person view. And it's basically like the first person is the awareness. Okay, this is what I've allowed in my life. This is how I'm showing up. This is from the patterns that I have, etc. And then the second person view is like now looking at it like when I do this, it affects people this way. So whether that's if I'm good, it brings goodness, or if I'm sad and or if I'm and also my negative patterns, it allowed me to see how I was sabotaging or things like that. And then the third person view is being able to like completely zoom out, and it's like looking in a room full of people and understand that each single individual has a life story as well, and they are living in it in their first person view. And how can I in this space inspire so that I can create the third person view for them, you know? So, my long winded way of saying that when you say zoom out, it reminds me of, some things that helped me as well. Because in the times when I was learning about myself and I carried a lot of shame about my life in certain ways, being able to zoom out and look at it from a different perspective was very, very helpful. And even now, it's a part of like my identity in a way, because I'm able to see, oh, I'm not upset. I'm having a thought, and I can look at that thought, and I can see which part of me needs love, or what does that thought need. That's actually what it is. Everything for me has a need. So what is the need behind the thought? And then that becomes a very wonderful exploration of self and then healing. Because one of the other things that I realized too is that awareness is okay. I'm aware of all of these things that are happening, but when I hadn't done the healing, that's a whole different layer. So awareness cannot, has to go hand in hand with healing. But if I'm healing, that means I'm sitting in that emotion. I'm sitting in the reparenting of it. I'm sitting in, the gut and the tears and all that. What can make that part worth it? And it is the zooming out. The zooming out is what makes it worth it, because then I'm like, oh, this is divinely guided. This is something that I'm meant to do. And when I look at my life, it really was like everything led up to, our life being as reparative as it is. So yeah, my long-winded way of saying,
No, that's
like,
that's beautiful.
yeah, yeah, because I find that it makes it easier, and it's more. Um, I think a lot of times when it comes to feelings, most people, including myself, were resistant to it. Like, I don't want to feel. I don't want to have to do this. And it just became something that I was carrying. I was dragging along with me. And now it's like, okay, I can feel it. A feeling only lasts 90 seconds, and give it the love that it needs. And that way, it's not adding up. I'm not wearing a giant cloak. I'm being present with it, acknowledging it, name it, and then I can move forward again. And that definitely helps in a lot of ways. Thoughts?
Well, and that can, sorry, like you were saying, it can get you through that 90 seconds. And that's what got me through those 45 days of like, okay, I can see and feel this because I can zoom out and I know that the finish line is not in this story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a powerful message. How are your are you so no, I don't think that's a good way of asking this, but like are you solely focused on burnout as your guidance?
I would say resilience
Resilience. Okay, I like
is
that.
my,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
And as a motivational coach, like I introduced myself, I'm a giver of permission. So, like, you're the one with the answers, right? And so let's work with your answers, right? Sometimes I have to ask that a bunch of times, or we do have to kind of zoom out like, hey, it's not just about this one thing. Let's zoom out from there. But it is that resilience. It's that fortification that says I can do hard things And if I need a bubble bath on a Tuesday, I can do that too. Like, that's that permission piece.
Two things can be true for sure, and that is so true because sometimes most of us we just need the permission
Hmm.
to, you know.
Mhm.
I like that.
Do you have a message for our audience or for anyone listening?
I'll just go back to do the next right thing. I do have a next right thing resilience map on
Okay.
my website.
Oh yeah.
And I'm happy to share that directly with
Yeah.
you.
Yes, please. It'll
Um,
be in the description as
yes.
well. But
Okay.
yes, tell
Yes.
them where they can meet you or find you or not stalk you, but stalk you.
Yes. Um, so the website with all the resources and goodies would be anchoringamidst.com. And then Shaina Hargens anywhere. Just search in Facebook or YouTube or TikTok or whatever. LinkedIn. There's that too.
Okay, anchoring Amidst, and I think I saw a picture. You posted a picture of it. I love the font and the way it is. It's really a beautiful workbook, and I think it's such a good thing too because like gratitude journals are I don't know. Gratitude's got me. I did a 30-day gratitude journaling because I did 70 times 7, which is a forgiveness one. And then I was like, okay, well, I don't need to do forgiveness not anymore. Like it didn't. I wasn't needing it at that time.
Mhm.
What's the other thing? And my therapist at the time, she was like, well, do you have a? I forgot what she called it, but it's like a gratitude and a pissed off journal at the same time. And I was like, I kind of like that, you know? So, a friend of mine in India, he'd reach out to me. He goes, hey, I'm doing the 30-day gratitude journaling. Would you like to do it? And I love community. So I was like, yeah, because then at the end of the day, I take a screenshot of what I'm grateful for and I share it with this person. And they're also sharing with me what they're grateful for. And I feel like I didn't have an appreciation. Like I knew what gratitude is, but to feel it, to
Mhm.
have that deep appreciation of like I have this saying, we have to go to that the depths of despair and sorrow in order to truly understand what joy and abundance, to appreciate joy and abundance, because there were times when I never felt like I would be happy again, or I would even feel love or anything. It just felt so dark and nothingness. So now when I feel, and also we tend to celebrate a birthday one day, but we loathe in darkness for like months at a time. So, just kind of like flipping the script now. Like that's the old programming, that's the
Mhm.
old messages, the old way of looking at it. Now it's time to bring in the other feelings. So sitting in gratitude and being present with it, and like I love it. I think it's so yummy. I say it's always yummy and delicious, but it's truly a different feeling because I know what it's like to not be in connection with Tasia, and now I just love looking at her eyes. I'm like, oh my god, your eyes are so pretty. But like I'm deeply appreciative that we get to do something like this together, and have better relationships with people because I'm such a emotional connection person. um and there were times when I took that for granted. So the gratitude was just, oh my god, the best thing. Like I'm grateful for this breath. Like this morning my coffee, like like little things that, and the bigger things just feel even more amazing. So I definitely appreciate that message of gratitude.
Yep. Well, and gratitude in Anchoring Amidst is only one of the six pillars. And gratitude is a beautiful thing because it can be chosen too, right? It's not only a feeling, but it can be a choice, right? And I feel like I don't know, it just gives you more possibilities than wanting to experience other positive emotions, right? Because gratitude is both. It's an emotion, an action, and a choice. It's
And
pretty cool.
yeah, I'm with gratitude's vibe. Yeah, I like how you broke that down. A feeling, an action, and an emotion. Well, a thought, a feeling, an action. And that's really awesome. Well, I do appreciate you taking the time, especially that it's a little later for you, but and you have a little one, and sharing your message of resilience and all the so I'm grateful for this opportunity to hear a little bit more about your story and give you a chance to share that with as many people as we can reach.
Beautiful.
Yes,
Thank you so much for having me.
yes, of course. Would you like to kick us off, my dear?
To our listeners, you are not only your story is to be your truth. And with that, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Breaking the Cycles. We will see you on another one. Bye.